What's good? It is Sam here, and today is day number 18 since I decided to do real estate wholesaling in South Carolina. So, I wanted to talk about the progress I made today. We've got two different lists that we email list and a cell phone number list. I wanted to talk about those. They're growing very, 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 very rapidly, but there's always opportunity to make them grow even faster. I sent out our second email campaign, but I also wanted to talk about our first email campaign for yesterday and some of the results associated with that. And then the wholesale deal. What's going on with that? So we've got a property under contract. We've been meeting investors. We've been talking to people. I'm getting messages every single day. Just got off the phone with somebody else. What's going on with that? So I'm going to give you guys updates. And if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam here. And for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. I'm sitting here in my Tesla Model 3, and I just got a notification that there's a software update, which could be related to FSD, which is full self-driving. Curious to see what that is going to be. Make sure you press that thumbs up button. Okay, so email list. We're going to start there. We started, as I mentioned, I think I said today is the 18th day or something. It was like the 21st of February when I started. So whenever, however long that's been, I think it's been about 18 days. I started with obviously 0 emails, 0 database. I'm not from South Carolina. My buddy is here, but he's still working. So I'm primarily running everything. And then we're working together in the evening or when he's not working. So we've been able to garner 1,400 emails. So that, my friends, in 2020 and going forward, is what is the valuable thing here, is data. And if you pay attention to tech at all or anything, you may have heard the term that, or the phrase that data is the new oil for the century. And I couldn't agree more. If you have a property under contract and you've got 7 people you can talk to, versus if you have a property under contract and you have 7,000 people you can talk to, who do you think is going to be able to sell that property faster? It's just common freaking sense. So one of the big things is getting that email list up fast and way bigger than 1,400 plus. It's relatively easy and fast to build a cash buyer list. If you go to the Facebook groups in the area you're in, or relatively just search for wholesaling groups on Facebook, and there's people in there that are like, hey, is there any cash buyers in fucking this area? So you, on the search bar in the Google Facebook group, in the Facebook group that's related to wholesale, there's a search bar on the side. So you just go over to the search bar and you search for @Gmail altogether, and then it pulls up all the posts that have a Gmail email in them. And Gmail is like the most common provider, so generally speaking, if it's somebody like, hey, is there any cash buyers in this area, you can just click on that and then copy all of those fucking emails over there so that you have a large list of buyers. And how we actually structured this, I'm going to talk about it in a second with the second email campaign we sent out. Was to, actually, let's just talk about that right now. The second email campaign went out to all of these. I think it was like 1,383 email addresses. There's a certain segment of those that didn't get sent out for some reason, or they got returned. Maybe it was like 83 of them got returned and we sent out 1,383, something like that. There was a bunch of, maybe I copied the address wrong, or somebody, when they punched it on Facebook, actually punched in the wrong email address than when I copied it over. So there's over 1,400 emails, but apparently, 80 of them are bad or something like that. And with MailChimp, which is a email service provider, not service provider, it allows you to do email marketing. So you upload all your emails to MailChimp or whatever it's called, and there's a free service, and then there's like multiple paid ones. So right now our list is under 2,000, so we just did the free option, and I think it allows you to send up to 2,000 emails a week or per day or something from this account or something like that. And we sent out a email campaign. So you just structure with some of the pictures, say a little bit of blurb about the property, but it gets super interesting in a second because I'm going to talk about it. Then we put some links to Google Photos, and then there was a link for Google Photos to see more pictures, and then there's a link for Google Photos to see a walk around inside the property on a cell phone that I had done. So this goes out to 1,300 plus people, and in there, we mentioned to call this phone number. It's a Google Voice phone number. And how the Google Voice is I set up was to have a voicemail that says, hey, because you don't give the like very, very rarely do people give out the address in the when they're doing these. They wait for people to contact them to give out the actual address of their property. So the address to the property is not in the email. Like if you're actually interested, you can reach out and we'll give you the address. So in that, they're like, hey, call this number if you're actually interested. So they call this number. It's a Google Voice number. Nobody's going to pick up. It goes to a voicemail. The voicemail says something along the lines of, hi, if you are calling about the property at 123 fucking Main Street, this is the address. You know what I mean, or whatever. If you're calling about the property in Rock Hill, here's the address. Give them the address. It does, and then just give a little bit more of a sales pitch, not like a sales pitch, but just like information about the property at that moment, and to like run their comps and that kind of thing. And then if they would like to proceed and actually put in an offer on the property, call this number, and that's where they call my number. And the reason that I do that is because when I run a Facebook, I still have the Facebook ad active as of like a couple of days ago, so I haven't checked it today to know if it's still active, but it was still active. And it's taking the property listing on Facebook Marketplace and putting it in front of like, I don't know, 1,000 people for like $2 a day. So it's just getting it in front of a stupid amount of people. And I'm getting messages every single day, multiple messages, and the vast majority of people don't have any intention of actually taking action on they'll just message, and you can tell in a matter of a couple minutes if they're actually interested or know what they're talking about. And the vast majority of them are not ready like mentally to take any action on their life at that or whatever it is that they're working on. So I wanted to figure out a way to limit the pool of interested or people who are just going to waste your time of those people that are not like actually ready to take action, right? I just want people who are actually willing to take action and they're interested, like actual interest. And so by structuring it as in a two-step process, you weed out 99.9% of all the people who are they're just gonna waste your time. So definitely gonna structure this in the future. I think this will get super interesting as this email list goes from 1,400 to 2,800 to 3,600 and 5,000 and 10,000, because that will allow me to move contracts around the country wherever I might be, which is going to be super fun because I do plan on turning this virtual. So if you're interested, make sure you press that subscribe button, because you can follow along with exactly what I am doing as I turn this into a cash flowing business, and as I put in places virtual assistants or cold callers or this, that, and the other thing to see how all of this works. We have 2 affiliates who are sending in addresses. So what they get is a Google Voice phone number, and when they get an address, they text it in, and then we just let them know where we are in the process of contacting them. So skip tracing them. That's where we're at. Contacting them, and that could be a while because there's multiple different ways to contact people: text message, phone call, email, actual mail, going to knock on the door. So that's a little bit more laborious in terms of the processes involved versus just looking somebody up to skip trace them. And then when those properties close, then you get $300. So if you guys are interested, fucking hit me up down below, or jump over to Instagram and say what's good, and then be like, hey, I want to be affiliate, and then I can set you up with a Google Voice number, and that's exactly how it would work. We'll do all the work in the back end. We'll send you an update to be like, hey, this is where we are. And basically, it's just looking for like the crappiest property in the neighborhood, the one that's, if it's beat up, if it's damaged, if it's fucked up, it's all distressed, if it's got like, if you're driving down the street and you see a mailbox that's stuffed full of mail, that's could be a vacant property, right? So vacant properties are also super valuable. Properties where it's all like super overgrown, clearly it's probably vacant. If there's properties with like trees on them, then it's, you know what I mean? Those are the ones that we're interested in. We want motivated sellers who are interested in just getting rid of the headache that they have. So that's who we are actually looking for, and that's what we articulate for this. One person is in South Carolina, the other person is in Massachusetts, Cape Cod actually. So we're going to continue to amp up our affiliate, the number of affiliates. If you guys want to be an affiliate, hit me up on Instagram. There's a link in the description, and I can set you up with that. Next is we have another email campaign that we're going to be sending out tonight. So today I collected about 330 additional email addresses, and those 330 additional email addresses, we're going to send out the same campaign that we sent out yesterday, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. But the campaign from yesterday was from another email address, not from the real estate business address, but from another email address related to real estate. We sent something out saying, hey, and this is the title that I was thinking that we sent out, something very similar to this, 20 top real estate books. The top 5 real estate books according to Amazon, or something like that, for 2020. And then you get to do the preview text. So, you know, when you have an email that comes up on your phone, you have the subject line, and then below it there's a little bit of text, like several words or so, maybe like 60 characters you can put in. So you get to edit to what goes in there to hopefully grab more attention so that people actually click on your email. So we sent out the one today. In terms of the Amazon one, we're going to do that tonight, is going to be the same as yesterday, but we're changing a couple things to see if we can increase the conversion, the open rate, as well as the conversion within the email. So we're going to compare the two of those, even though they're two different data sizes. One was like 1,200, and then this one was like 300. So those together, or maybe one was like 1,100 or something. Those together to see if we're actually able to increase the open rate by changing the title a little bit or changing the preview text to increase that, and then the same thing with the conversion inside of the email to see how that changes. And the last thing here, which is I think one of the two more things. We're going to give an update on the wholesale deal that we have under contract, and the phone number list. So the phone number list, we are up to over 3,000 phone numbers. That's astonishing. Not sure exactly how we're going to use this list yet, but I'm thinking of using this list and having a cold caller potentially reach out and find something that I think would be super valuable to provide some type of utility, some type of value to this group of like real estate professionals, and reach out to them and see if they are interested in purchasing. 3,000, right? I found a cold caller that she's $6 an hour in the Philippines, and her English is very good. She sent me a couple audio tapes of like call scripts that she had with clients or customers for other people, just to be able to hear her hear how she sounds and that kind of thing. So that's going to be super interesting to see how that plays out, because if she's $6, right, and just say for example she works 10 hours, just because the math is easier, not like trying to get somebody to work a stupid amount of hours if they don't want to, just the math is easier. So they're working 10 hours a day. If they have one thing that's $100, right, in terms of the $100 profit, right, then that's $60 and then and $40, and that's one per day. And I think she mentioned something like 60 to 100 phone calls per hour. So I'm not sure how I'm going to structure this. I'm going to continue adding emails and adding phone numbers to these lists rapidly, and figure out a system that I can use, putting up maybe a landing page and then driving traffic there to capture emails and phone numbers at a faster rate, just 24 hours a day, instead of just me manually capturing it. Also working with somebody in Pakistan to do our skip tracing. So I was thinking about potentially having him, if he is interested in just actually capturing the email addresses and phone numbers as well, because he is like $1 an hour or something like ridiculous. So even if we're going to pay him $2 an hour so that like he gets a raise, that's fine. And then he'll be able to capture that data, and I can get the time back so that I can do something that's going to provide more value. So this is going to be a ton of fun. The last thing I wanted to touch on, and the campaign. Campaign made 32 cents so far from the campaign. First 32 cents. Made $0 online in South Carolina. Showed up here 18 days ago, and I just made 32 cents online. What's good? I can almost get a fucking gumball. It's a good thumbs up for that shit. So, with that being said, the wholesale deal that we are working with is super fun. As I mentioned, I've been talking to a tremendous number of investors, several per day, and I had one assignment contract that I sent out, and that is when I sent out so basically I get a property under contract, right? And it says, hey, you have from this date to close on the contract. And then I take that and I take the piece of paper and I sell that to somebody else. So I'm just flipping the paper essentially. And so I met a couple of investors there, had a good conversation with them. They were interested. They put in an offer, just verbal, and we shook hands on it. And then I sent over the assignment agreement, and that's when they did a little bit more due diligence. And the property is, according to like the government records, is 741 square feet. But the owners of the property told me in text message that the property is 800 square feet. So I was misinformed about this, and then I followed up and asked the seller about it, and they, from what he said, he knew about it, but according to him, he was misinformed too. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to be upfront like with everybody that I'm talking to about like what's going on. It's not a good idea to not be honest about things. That first investor that I sent out the assignment agreement to didn't want to do that, right? Because on a property that's only hit 800 square feet, and then it goes from 800 to 741 on the ARV on the exit, that at $150 a square foot, that's like $9 fucking grand, and they don't want to do that. So that guy dropped off, but the person from last Friday is still interested. He wants it. I talked to him tonight. He wants it. And I am going to be sending over another assignment contract to him tonight. So we're going to send out the email campaign, send out another assignment contract. Hopefully I can get a signed assignment tomorrow with some earnest money tomorrow or the following day, and wrap this thing up so that it can finally get to closing. And then we'll talk about it, how much money and all that, like how it all plays out, because I don't know. First deal, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys want to follow along, make sure you press that subscribe button. If you want to be an affiliate, jump over to Instagram, link in the description to say what's good, and just let me know where you are. We can check you up. Peace.